Good afternoon, and welcome to third grade Math Benchmark Data Professional Development. I'm going to be your presenter, Mrs. Prokopchuk, and I'm very excited to be in a room full of third grade teachers here at the Menifee Union School District. You may be wondering why we're focusing on math and benchmark data. Well, there's two reasons. It is shown that there is the importance of early math skills as a predictor of future success. A beginning of year benchmark assessment in third grade provides an opportunity to identify any foundational gaps that may have occurred in second grade, allowing teachers to address them proactively before they become more significant barriers. This is especially important for skills like place value and whole number operations, which are the building blocks for third grade concepts like multiplication and division. Maybe you're wondering why benchmark data? Well, benchmark assessments are a critical tool for guiding instruction. Benchmark assessments are a middle ground between daily formative assessments and high-stakes summative assessments. They provide a periodic check-in on student progress and can be used to diagnose learning gaps and inform instructional decisions. The true power of these assessments lies not in the data itself, but in how teachers use the data to make instructional changes. We did create a SMART goal for our focus based on the data that we reviewed. The SMART goal is focused on Standard 3.0A.83, which requires third graders to use multiplication and division within 100 to solve word problems involving equal groups, arrays, or measurement quantities. I will pause here for you to review the SMART goal. As you can see, this goal pinpoints the exact skill needed, solving one-step multiplication and division word problems within 100. The goal includes a quantifiable measure of success with the what, how much, and who being answered. This component acknowledges the reality of the classroom. Given that the data set shows 22 out of our 26 students need support, a goal of getting every single student to 100% mastery might be unrealistic. By focusing on this specific area, the goal is relevant to both the immediate needs of the student and their long-term academic success. You may be wondering, what data am I referring to? Here is a screenshot of the data from Ms. Roberts' class. The data set used for today's PD is from Ms. Roberts' third grade classroom. She recently had the students complete their beginning of the year benchmark assessment through the district-provided curriculum and program SAVIS. The students' names have been removed, but the scores and percentages are correct. The overall score is based on the 7 areas of mathematics, and the percentage is where the students place within the school district. As you can see, she has a total of 26 students in her class. 4 students are currently meeting grade level standard. Those are in green. 6 students are approaching, which you can find in yellow, and 16 students do not yet meet the required third grade standard. This is a screenshot of Mrs. Roberts' SAVIS dashboard, where it shows, as a class, the overall average score for a student is 1,449, with the third grade expectation being of 1,493. It provides a breakdown of where her class stands in the 7 areas of mathematics, including algebraic reasoning, counting and countability, fractions, geometric reasoning, measurement, numbers and operations, and data and probability. All of this information is what helped determine the SMART goal that was presented earlier. You may wonder the different steps that we took to analyze the data. On the screen, you can see that we have outlined the 5 steps that were taken to create the SMART goal. This particular process moves away from teachers analyzing data in isolation, encourages them to share insights, strategies, and resources. Instead of just reacting to a low score, this protocol encourages teachers to look for the why behind the data. By analyzing the item content and cognitive demand, they can uncover the root cause of the learning gap, which makes their instructional response more precise and effective. The final steps of the protocol ensure that the data analysis is not just a theoretical exercise. It led directly to a concrete plan of action with a clear goal and defined instructional strategies, which is where we got our SMART goal. Now that you've seen the steps that are required to do it, let's do it ourselves. I'm going to divide you guys up into groups of 3 to 4 people. Each of you are going to be going to a different station. There are 3 total stations. The total stations are based off of the report data that has been printed for you. After 5 minutes, the groups are going to rotate to the next station. At that station, you're going to read the sticky notes from the previous group and then begin to analyze and infer. This task is looking for patterns to write down their hypothesis on the different colored sticky notes that are provided. Once you've rotated to all 3 stations, we're going to come back together. We're going to have each group present their key trends and patterns that they discovered. And then as a whole group, we're going to collaboratively formulate the problem. This is the shared high leverage skill or concept that needs to be addressed. This is a great interactive element as it's a collaborative, data-driven, builds buy-in, models the process, and is differentiated. Now that we've had the time to go through that entire process, what does the data tell us? The trend is a significant achievement gap in foundational math skills at the beginning of 3rd grade. A below basic majority, a massive 85% of the class, which is 22% out of 26 students, are not demonstrating grade level proficiency. This is not a small group of struggling learners. It is the majority of the class. This indicates a systematic need for foundational skill development, not just individual remediation. It also shows that we have a need for Tier 1 and Tier 2 support interventions. The core problem may be with Tier 1 whole class instruction. This data points to the need for a reevaluation of how core math concepts are taught to the entire class to ensure all students have access to grade level material. What else does the data tell us? It tells us that there's a lack of number sense and fluency. Students struggling with 3rd grade standards often lack the foundational number sense and fluency with basic operations needed to progress. This is most likely the unmet need for the majority of our 22 students. Lastly, the data tells us that there's below proficiency gap could widen if not handled. Research shows that the students who start the year behind in math tend to fall even further behind over time without targeted intervention. You might ask, what steps can be taken? Here are some action steps for teachers. Reteach and pre-teach foundational concepts. Begin the year with a comprehensive review of the most critical 2nd grade standards that are prerequisites for 3rd grade concepts. Use hands-on manipulatives, such as base 10 blocks or counters or number lines, to build a stronger conceptual understanding of place value, number sense, and the relationship between addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. Another action step for teachers is implement daily differentiated small group instruction. Dedicate a specific block of time each day, maybe 20 to 30 minutes, to small group math instruction. Use the benchmark data to create flexible groups. One focuses on foundational skills, the next on grade level problems, and the last one provides enrichment activities. The last action step for teachers is integrate math vocabulary and discourse. Explicitly teach math vocabulary, use academic language during all lessons, and encourage students to use it as well. Incorporate math talk routines where students must articulate their problem-solving processes. But this isn't just stuff for teachers. There are action steps for support staff as well. Support staff can provide high-dosage targeted intervention, which includes collaborating with the classroom teacher to pull out small groups of the most at-risk students, which include the 16 students discussed earlier, for intense, focused intervention sessions. Use evidence-based programs and instructional strategies that address specific gaps identified in the benchmark data. Another action step is co-teach or push in for support. Instead of just pulling students out, interventionists can also push into the classroom to assist during whole class or small group instruction. They can provide additional support for struggling students, help manage groups, and model effective instructional strategies for the teacher. We also have action steps for administration. Administration can facilitate collaborative data analysis, schedule and facilitate regular grade level data meetings or PLCs, provide the time, structure, and resources needed for teachers to analyze the benchmark data, share best practices, and collaboratively plan their instructional responses. Another action step is provide necessary resources and professional development. Based on the data, invest in professional development and resources that directly address the identified needs. This could include training on all effective small group instruction, purchasing more math manipulatives, or acquiring a new intervention program. Our last action step for administration is monitor progress and provide support. Conduct walkthroughs to observe math instruction and provide targeted feedback and coaching. Use ongoing formative assessment data to monitor student progress toward the SMART goal and offer support as needed. We included steps for students and families as well. At home, parents can communicate and collaborate with the teacher, reinforce foundational concepts at home, and create a consistent learning environment. Families can respond to communication from the teacher, attend parent-teacher conferences, and when you do, ask specific questions about your child's math progress. Ask the teacher what specific skills your child is working on in the math. The teacher can provide resources or ideas for fun, low-pressure activities to reinforce those skills at home. Establish a routine for homework and study time. Provide a quiet, designated space where your child can focus, ensure they have the basic supplies they need, or ask for help in getting them. What can students do? Students can be an active participant in their learning. Listen carefully to instructions and ask questions when something is unclear. Raise your hand in class, participate in small groups, and work with your peers. Students can use the resources provided. If the teacher provides manipulatives like counters or base 10 blocks to solve problems, students should use them. If they recommend a specific website or app for practice, use them. Complete all assignments, including homework, to the best of the student's ability. Lastly, talk to the parents and teacher. Students should communicate with their parents about what they're learning in school, and if they feel confused or frustrated, they need to tell the teacher. It is the student's job to communicate with parents and teachers, and it is the teacher's job to help you, and they can't do that if they don't know what you need. Strategies to help reach our goal include explicit instruction in problem solving, including cubes. Explicit instruction involves the teacher clearly modeling a skill or strategy, providing guided practice, and then allowing for independent practice with feedback. For word problems, teaching a specific problem-solving routine, such as cubes, can be very helpful. The teacher would model the process as they complete cubes. Cubes is circle the numbers, underline the question, box keywords, evaluate steps, and solve and check. This is not a trick, but a systematic way for teachers to teach students to deconstruct a problem's text, identify the mathematical operation, and formulate a plan. The instruction should include discussions about the meaning of the keywords and phrases and how they relate to underlying concepts of multiplication and division. Another strategy is the concrete representation abstract (CRA) sequence of instruction. This strategy addresses the unmet needs of students' lack of conceptual understanding by building from tangible objects to symbols, which is particularly effective for students who are not meeting the standards. The CRA sequence is a tiered approach to teaching a new math concept. Here is a list of resources. The list of resources consists of instructional resources, progress monitoring tools, online resources, classroom resources, resources for families, and digital learning platforms. Our district has purchased SuccessMaker, which is embedded within Savvis, as well as Reflex Math for fact fluency. I highly encourage getting the composition notebooks for math journals as they are cost effective and a great tool. Remember, not all students have access to computers at home, so having different practice sheets for students is highly recommended. Here is a continued list of resources that you can use to reach our goal. I have thoroughly enjoyed our presentation today, and I hope that you've learned a lot in our PD. If you have any further questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out. You will be receiving this PD presentation directly to your school emails, and all of my contact information will be included. Have a good rest of your evening.